The first one being, what inspired you to write Future of Township Economies, and what gap did you feel it fills in the current conversation about local development?
Maybe just to give you a background. So my writing, right, I give, or at least what I see as my talent is that I write frameworks of understanding things, right? So this book also is about that. I came across a model, or you could say theory, called the adjacent possible theory, right? And then what it's about is, the main thing that it says is that for everything new to be created, you have to create it with what exists currently, right? Give you an example. In the early 90s, that's when the internet came about. It was a new thing, right?
Yeah.
But then the internet in and of itself, it's made up of things that, were evolving, at least at that point when they fused to them. They don't worry, I'm gonna get to your question. So at that point there was innovation enough to make what is the internet. That is the early 90s, right? So now it gave a possibility that if you fuse internet with banking which was in existence for thousands of years prior any codec technology, and now here comes the internet, and then you mix it with banking, it gives you internet banking, and then there's internet gambling, now Facebook, social media, all these things, right? Facebook, in a sense, if it's a form of socializing. Socializing has been there, but now when you infuse the internet, it becomes something that is new, right? A new utility, let's say. So, because I'm always researching, so I see this model, I'm like, okay, I'm always writing around townships. How then do I fuse this adjacent possible model with to bring an understanding of township economy? So here we are today, right? How then do we see into the future of township economies, let's say? We've got 3D printing, for example. It used to be that, let's say you want to make a chair, right? With 3D printing, you can make a chair within a week. Like, you design it, get 3D scans, or get an engineer who's gonna do like a CAD design of any sort of graphic that will enable a 3D printer to do it. Within a week you do it. But then a couple of years ago, it used to be that you need to go and get a mold, an injection mold, which costs thousands of rands. For less than 5,000 rands today, you can make a chair. So anyone who's sitting in the township, you can look at what sort of products the people can do. And then so technology or innovation, or today's innovation, makes it easier, or at least it has democratized access to making products, which was very difficult. Even to have a website, maybe 15 years ago, you were gonna spend a couple of thousands. Today,
now it's accessible to
it's
everyone.
accessible. Like, there are themes online, you can just manipulate them, and then you've got a website within 2 days, or even a day, for example. So, to answer your question, what inspired me to write this book? I'm always providing frameworks that explain things in a simpler way.
So you try to unpack it for somebody who maybe has never come across such terms.
Yes. I mean, the terms are, look, the thing with terms is that they can scare you, right?
Yes.
So without me even mentioning the adjacent possible theory, I can still explain it, just not to plagiarize people's writing or ideas that it came up with. I just have to pay homage that that's where I got this understanding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. My next question is, what audience did you write this book for? Like, is it for aspiring entrepreneurs, policymakers, educators, or drum roll?
There's no audience.
For everybody.
Look, I'm a writer. And then the thing with writers is that maybe this is a writing. I'm giving you a writer's answer, or at least an honest one. We dabble with a lot of writing, right? We have interest. I have interest in entrepreneurship, economics, and entrepreneurship. And then this model, I think, it simplifies it for anyone who's got an interest in it. So aspiring entrepreneurs, a township entrepreneur, policymakers. So let me say it's for anyone who's got an interest in sort of understanding how they can take advantage of or at least take the township economy somewhere better.
I never actually thought about it that way, because
Yeah.
most of the time when you're talking to like an author, they
Yes.
usually like have an audience or a target market. But I've never heard an author say, my book is for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's actually quite an interesting thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've got an interest in it, and then I'm sure there are people who've got interest in township economy or entrepreneurship, or at least in South Africa, because township it's one of the core economies of the country. It's
Yeah.
where most people stay in any given town or city.
And most people in South Africa are actually from the township, or they know of the township, but majority
Yes.
of South Africans are from the township.
And maybe just to be a bit technical, even rural areas, you could say they have, or in a rural area, let's say there's a mall or there are shopping centers, the households that will develop around that area, I think they classify as a township, because
Oh, yes.
they tend to be a bit,
Yes.
even the land there gets a bit pricier, people selling stands, they're not so cheap.
Yeah, that's actually very, very true. Okay, so my next question for you. My next question for you is, what do you believe are the biggest misconceptions about township economies in South Africa?
Oh, misconception.
I'll just take a video. if you're
Okay.
comfortable with
No, I'm good. Misconception. The biggest misconception about township. You see, maybe it might be controversial to some people.
that. There's no such thing as controversy.
No, I'm just preparing you for.
There is no such thing as controversy.
Look, they are politicians or people who've got a politically sort of minded approach to life.
Yeah.
They'll say, townships were developed by apartheid. These negative things, they were not meant for people to stay in. Okay, let's say you're right. Maybe you're right in some aspects, some dimensions, you're right. But people stay there. And they don't have, that's the best alternative, or maybe they don't have an alternative of where to stay. So, and then there are people who stay there. What is entrepreneurship? It's about saving an existing community. And then what do? You become competitive, and then you become innovative, meaning anything that can add progress to that society, you try and do it. That's what entrepreneurs do. They try out all sorts of different businesses. You can see in townships, a lot of entrepreneurs maybe doing all sorts of events, all sorts of things. They are trying. Like, that's what humans do. You are given an area that we stay in. Maybe you don't have the option to go stay in a more affluent place. So within that place, people will try to improve it or sell or make money or whatever. So the misconception is that people, I just think, the youth should stop listening to this politically minded people and focus on how can they try to make a living within the country and then be better. But I mean, making a living at some point you have to be better, unless things are just idle. But now the next person would try to do something that's better than you. Then you have to scale up and maybe try to compete with them. So yeah.
I completely hear what you're saying. It then takes me to think of the fact that most people or most entrepreneurs, especially with people who are from the township or
Yes.
from rural areas, they always constantly feel like they need this huge capital, or they need a particular audience to be able to sell whatever product or whatever service that they have in mind, because they don't look at people in their township or that rural area as their first audience, or the first people that they should be marketing to. So I
Yes.
think it's a very interesting thing that you mentioned. Okay,
Yeah.
my next question. This is actually so much fun.
I'm glad. I'm nervous.
Why?
I'm kidding.
Please, I'm trying so hard to make this as...
No, I'm easy. Don't worry.
I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Okay.
Yeah.
How do you envision townships becoming future hubs of economic growth and innovation?
That's whatever answer I'll give. It's hypothetical, right? As most answers to situations would be. the best thing that could happen is that people in townships or young people take to entrepreneurship. It's hard, and then the good thing is that if they take to it, it means prosperity it's shared. It's being made a bit equitable. Maybe equitable is not maybe the necessary kind of way, but more people. Think of it this way. We are in a shopping mall, for example. It's in Fourways. They sell products, and now I'm sure people who stay in townships come here to shop. Maybe this is a wrong example. Maybe let's take Main Lane in Pretoria. Like people who are in townships, they go there to shop. But over the years, what's been happening is that in shopping malls, new shopping malls have emerged in townships. And what I'm seeing is that the tenants there, it's black people, it's young people from those townships. So it means, to an extent, that they're taking the businesses that used to be owned sort of in the hands of the majority, and then now they are competing for this. The same customers. So we are competing. It means now the economy is opening up. People are taking opportunities that not necessarily taking away from the older businesses, but because it's hard to measure this thing because products every year add up on because innovation is already constantly growing. So, but people are participating in the township. Yes, which means maybe 20 years ago it was lesser people from townships participating as entrepreneurs, as tenants in shopping malls. So that's a nice precedent.
Are there existing examples of success stories that align with the framework that you propose?
So the framework, it's not a theory. It's an explainer. Meaning, like I was saying to you, when you innovate, you're mixing two or more things to make something that was non-existent. You're mixing internet, you're mixing it with banking, it becomes internet banking, right? So, in a sense, it helps people understand, okay, this is how innovation evolves. For 3D printing, right? It's a technology that was evolving in its own ways, right? And it encompasses a lot of other components, maybe AI again, sort of the way computers are so fast these days, it helps. So now, a creative question to the entrepreneurs is that what can you do with 3D printing that you couldn't do some years ago? Because obviously 3D printing makes the making of prototypes cheaper and quicker. So it's just a framework. Like what new technology can you mix with something that was existing to make something better? Maybe an alternative utility. So what product can you make with the existing technology? We've got AI, right? Now you don't necessarily need to hire a copywriter to write copyright for your new website, especially if still you don't have a budget. You can just go to Grok on X, say Grok, this is what I do, this is me, I come from such and such a place. Could you write an about us for my business? And quickly it will write it. That's what this framework helps people understand. What current technology can you use to make things that you are making or you want to make easier? And it's cheaper as well.
Okay, so what practical advice would you give to young township-based entrepreneurs who want to take their first step towards entrepreneurship today?
Look, the first thing is that you need an income. So
passive income.
Not necessarily, let's say active income. Like to make a product, you need because if you look at someone who's gonna fund you, you're going to wait for a very long time, and even the funding that's available, it's a small percentage of what goes to entrepreneurs. like maybe it's a 1% or some, because it's tiny. It only goes to a few number of people. So you need to find yourself. To find yourself, you need an income. Get a job, and then with your salary, what you do, you risk it, creating whatever product you want to create. But you do it in such a way that you test in small bits. Let's say you want to make, let's say, a clothing brand. You don't go first and make 100 t-shirts. You make maybe 5, so that you can go test it in the market. If it works, it means then you need to restock or make more. And if it doesn't work, you would have realized what no one could have showed you. You could only learn that through actually starting. So to start, fund it yourself. To fund it yourself, get a job, whatever job, like do anything to earn an income so that you can. Yeah.
Okay, how can policymakers or private sector better support township innovation?
How can policymakers support
And just private sector?
Private sector? Look, I mean, it's a hard one because, you know, private sector, sure, they've got incentives that will come under ESD. They will do what, you know, they see as that would work for them. And government also, maybe they'll do that. But what I've noticed is that the money needs to go to entrepreneurs. You know, over the years we've seen a lot of programs where most of the money goes to trainers. Some of those hubs, they've got, you know, expensive offices in nice affluent areas. It just doesn't work. Entrepreneurs need money. The money needs to go to entrepreneurs. Like, that's, at the end of the day, the money needs to go to them. So you have a situation where, I'm just giving an example. Let's say it's R1 million that's given to whatever. This is 60% going to administration or whatever. That doesn't work. At best, maybe it should adopt sort of a VC model wherein a smaller, a minority percentage of that amount goes towards the administration, and the majority should go to entrepreneurs. You can receive all the training, whatever, but at the end of the day, you need money to make products and test those products. And it's cheaper today, like, you know, I was illustrating earlier on. So the money must go to entrepreneurs and active entrepreneurs, people who have a product that have started with their own money, and then give those people money.
Or willing to risk their own money.
Yes. That's,
and have a set business plan.
Yes.
And return on investment. And
yeah.
Do you believe the South African education system prepares young people adequately for entrepreneurship in township concepts?
Entrepreneurship, I think they are trying their best. I mean, I work with a number of different corporations, organizations. They are trying their best, but at the root, I think the root of the problem in South Africa is that the high school education, it's a bit bourgeoisie, right? You're not learning how to fix cars or paint, or we need artisan skills from high school. That's how you actually get to learn maths better. You get to learn, you know, physics better, maybe chemistry better.
You see how you can practically
use
what you're learning.
Yes, because now you've got a situation where I don't know the budget. Most of the education maybe budget goes towards, you know, humanities and social sciences. I'm sure they're important, right? But when most kids, when they leave high school, they've got zero skill that they can go use immediately after high school. They still need to go to the university or college system. But now remember, always, the kids who go to that system, it's always a minority of those who went to high school. So we need to make our education system a lot more robust, in that there has to be technical, practical artisan skills that are learned, which kids, when they graduate from high school, they can actually go make an income with. Maybe they can paint, they can make furniture, they can fix cars. So they are actual artisans, and by doing something like that, in a few years, say you are an engineer of some sort.
But then somebody else could argue and say, but there's FET education
Yes.
that you can start with after grade 9, but also, again, somebody else could retaliate and say, but what about the stigmatization of FET education? Do you think, in your personal opinion, that parents as well should be called into meetings in schools and children as well to be taught more about FET training and such, to learn those skills such as plumbing, being electricians, because we can't all be accountants and
Absolutely.
judges and engineers,
So let me start it in this way. An economy needs products, right? It needs people who make products. And then what are products? It's this table, it's this phone, it's all these things. So we know that an economy needs products. So the education system, if it doesn't reflect that, right, we get the result that we get. There are no products that we can sell to ourselves. Yes, a lot of people are making products, and it's a great thing. There are no products that we can sell to ourselves and other nations, right? So for me, it's just very practical. I don't like saying government should, but let me just say government should just plump more money. Education is about opportunities. So in any given area, there are no opportunities for FET colleges really. It's there. They need to be competing with high schools. That's in my view. They need to be competing with them, meaning more of them need to be introduced in communities. Yeah.
I only have 2 more questions.
Okay, that's cool.
What was the most challenging parts of writing?
It wasn't challenging actually, because so how I write books is that most of the books that I've written, they are books based on articles that I've written. So I'm always writing articles, or I'm always investigating, researching different things. So there comes a point where I realize probably, let's say I've written 40 articles in maybe 2 years. I'll look at it and like, I think there's a concept for a book there. So I just go back and not repackage, but re-research and get more information to make it. Because an article, it's not that, it can be technical, but for the most part, it's sort of a quick read. And then I'll go back and look at those articles and convert them into a book. Do thorough research. I think this book took me maybe a month, right?
That's very fascinating.
Yeah, it took me probably a month to write, but it's because it's things that I was already writing about, so I knew what to write about.
You already had knowledge about it.
Yes, I had knowledge, so I was just repackaging. You could say maybe my articles are a way for me to research.
We can expect more books.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely.
That is absolutely awesome. Where do you see township economies in the next 10 to 15 years if the ideas in your books are widely adopted?
If they are widely adopted, it's another method. But where do I see townships? I don't know. But what do we know? What we know is that there's 3D printing, there's AI, there's all these things, and also townships is where people from rural areas go to, because to go look for jobs or to actually work, or even to go to university, because it's cheaper to stay in. So the trajectory is that townships will grow. There will be more and more people. That's obvious, because human beings migrate to where there's opportunity. So that trend will not stop. As to whether South Africans do participate in entrepreneurship, they already are, right? I can't necessarily say this is what will happen in 10 years. I do hope that people make more and more products, meaning South Africans make more and more products, so that we consume our own products, and we also then get into manufacturing. I'm more for the individual.
And actually, the government could actually subsidize products that are made.
Man, I don't want to sound cynical, but it's best to keep the thinking about government away from an entrepreneur's mind. Because like I said, I'm for the individual, and my books are for the individual. You can't force people to do things because everyone has got liberty to do whatever they want to do with their life. But we do know that products are in the economy. So the more people that make products, the great. So in 10 years, I don't know. I hope good things happen. But like I was saying, more and more people are still going to go to the townships. That's just the given. People are going to look for opportunities, and new townships are going to develop. Not only say in the top 3 cities, in the different provinces, more townships. People are still going to move to where there's opportunity. It's always been like that actually in the world.
From the beginning.
Yeah, it's always been like that.
From the very beginning. But I hear you when you say you like to remove government from entrepreneurs. But also at the same time, what is the point of having a government then? Because the government is for the people, by the people. So why have a government that can't help it?
So now we move into politics, and then no. Are we still recording?
Yeah, I'm still recording,
Okay,
but I can switch it off if you
No,
want.
no worry. So look, so maybe philosophically, I like convincing an individual. Hey man, government if it operates on its own, that's a bureaucracy on its own. Yes, it would be great if it would be more representative. In a perfect world, but not in this world. And we don't have. I mean, things are bad. I mean, a lot of things are bad, but it can get worse. But we are not really in the most terrible of countries. So I don't know. Like I can't. Yeah.
So according to you, we're better off.
We are better off. Not really, because crime is a crisis.
Yeah,
Actually, like it's a
Also
horrible
an
crisis.
indicator.
Yeah. So look, government. So maybe it moves me into economics, right? The reason the rand has been losing value. It's been losing value. Why? Part of the reason, the major reason, it's because of government. The misuse of funds. That's it adds to inflation, because you think of it this way: we pay 15% VAT. It means from every 100 rand, from every book you buy in the store, 15% goes to government, because what they need 15%. Hence, they were trying to increase the VAT, right? So, if they were doing a good job, it would mean the economy would grow and they wouldn't need as more as they need. So they wouldn't be increasing taxes. So it's a clear sign that we're facing a lot of number of inflations. Electricity, you can actually measure that probably it's gone up by 600% in the last maybe 12 years. So that's Eskom is owned by the government, so it's government's fault. So their crime is going ridiculous. It means your insurance is going up. The roads are getting more terrible. Wear and tear on cars goes up. Petrol has been going up. So at the center of the crisis in South Africa, it's government. Right? So now, how are you then hopeful about a government that has been, behaving in that? So money loses value because of government. So if we can stop some sort of, there's an intervention, I don't know how. Again, I'm being hopeful. For that to stop, it means minimum wage, it's what, 5,000 there. It means now we do have a stable value. If it has a stable value, it means people can save. When they save, they can start businesses or side hustles, all those things. But now if the value of money keeps going down, it means the value of your savings, you can't even save it. So that's just horrible. We need stability on that front actually. So I think that's the hiccup of the country. Yeah.
This is actually such a very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
We're don't you feel like it's very hard to look at the economy without looking at the politics?
No, it's absolutely
Because
hard.
they are literally married.
Mm-hmm.
They are literally married. So I hear you when you say, how do we then think we can rely on the government that has burned us to the ground?
Yes.
But also, how do we remove ourselves from the situation that we find ourselves in without involving the same government? Because politics and the economy are married. We could try and say, oh yeah, we should probably increase production.
Yes.
We should buy more local. And they'll still tax us more.
Hey man, then like I was saying, it becomes political. We have our system is that we elect a new government every 5 years, and
no, we've never liked the government since 1994.
we don't.
To be honest, I don't think I've heard any South African that has said they love.
No, I'm saying elect.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Since '94 we left the government. Let's not. I mean, yeah, we elect the government every 5 years. What recourse do we have? It's hard to work the system, to complain or all these things. It's just hard. I don't know. Like
I can. Like it's not worth it.
It's not that it's not worth it, but as it is, it's not working. But to change the political terrain takes a bit of maybe time. The ANC has been voted down. They are no longer the majority party, so maybe that's taking us somewhere. I don't know. It's hard. We just do not know, man. I'm a bit despondent about politics and their effect. Hence, I'm just for the individual that actually I think maybe China their system works quite differently. But for us here, I don't know. Look, my whole philosophy in writing books is for the individual. Let me put it that way. The lesser you think of government, the more empowered. The more you actually be able to do things. It's a skill, man. So you can't share your skill with government. You need to develop yourself for that entrepreneurial skill and try to do your thing. And the politics, you can get involved, showcase, but for you to make a product, it's got nothing to do with government for the most part.
Actually, such a fun conversation. I think for me, as a politics graduate,
Yes,
who's dabbled in economics as well, now journalist.
lovely.
This was truly
All the pleasure.
enlightening.
Good questions, interesting questions, I have to say.
Yeah.
Bit different from what I've been asked. But super.
Different how? Different good?
They are
Different
very
thought-provoking.
they go like they're technical. So it's technical questions rather than just, I don't want to say on the surface, which are important, but it's they're technical.